back to the pregame power up with Trey and Claudia. Let's take a look at how people are betting this one tonight. 79% of the bets on the Vikings to cover, handle up that way as well. As far as a prop goes, 95% of the bets on Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts over 30.5 receiving yards, and the handle way up there too at 98.5. So folks feeling like that's a bit too low. Pretty much the same, 93% of the bets, 95 of the handle on more over 59 in the hook receiving yards. For more on the liability for tonight, here's our anonymous DraftKings informant, Captain Book.
Checking the proverbial nice and naughty lists, and oh, what's this? Oh yes, the Vikings have been very, very naughty this year. Winners of 11 outright and 8 games against the spread? Oh yes, Skinny Minnie has been leaving the captain's role oh so thinny. While the nicest guy in Las Vegas tonight and all season long, Mr. Kirk O'Chains. 4 games straight with no passing touchdowns and no ATS winners. Mommy's birds have never been dirtier. So if you are betting tonight, know this. Public and pro bettors all love the favorites. And of course, those low-hanging overs too. But upsets happen. It's the no forgiveness league after all. And it is Desmond Ritter's revenge night. And of course, what happens in Vegas, well, you know how that is.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Like, normally he's got some sort of theme and mantra.
Santa, I suppose.
I think he just he got into the happy stuff a little early there. I think that's what just happened. Well, let's talk about the Raiders because it hasn't been very happy. You know, their motto was just win, baby. But this season it's been just lose. Las Vegas has lost 9 straight games, the longest active losing streak in the NFL. They are 2-11, tied for the second worst 13-game start in franchise history. They also started 2-11 in 1961, 2006, and in 2014 they started 0-13 in 1962. Now, since the move to Vegas, Raider games have been a destination for opposing fans that has left them seemingly without any of that thing we like to call home field advantage. So for more on that, who else could we have investigate this but our guy, Emerson Lotzie.
You hear Raiders fan, what do you think of first?
He's to me. You asking me?
Oh, and he's from Boston. No! You ever bring in the Raiders games?
I don't know nothing about football. I'm from Philly, and I can't name one player.
How you feeling ahead of Monday night with the Falcons in town?
You know what? There is no feeling.
We come to win tomorrow night.
Okay, people, it's time we have a conversation about the NFL team that calls the Sin City home. So Webster Dictionary defines a Raider as a person who invades or attacks enemy territory. But that hasn't been the case since the Raiders have moved here to Las Vegas. Instead, it's been the visiting team and the fans coming from out of town making the Raiders walk their own plank, making Vegas and Allegiant Stadium their home. Doesn't seem like there's much of a home field advantage for the Raiders. That's got to help you feel pretty confident entering Monday night, right?
Yeah. Well, also with their record right about now.
Why do you think that they suck so much at home? I thought the house always wins in Vegas.
All right.
Vegas is in the house. Every other team that comes out here is the house.
Raiders coming here, I think, is commercial.
I don't see Vegas as a sports area, man. This is a tourist area.
At least the fans are in Oakland.
I was here for the Kansas City game. There was more red out there than black. In Oakland, 95% were Oakland fans. There people come here not for the game. They come here because they have a place to visit.
Do you almost feel sorry for them?
No.
Hey, win in Rome, right? Except Falcons fans don't plan on adapting to the local Raiders culture here. Instead, they will wear their jerseys and be loud and proud inside Allegiant Stadium tonight. I feel like Falcons fans have really shown up here. Like we've seen you guys like
full this morning. Yeah.
Plane was full?
Yeah, plane was full.
I'm a season ticket holder in Atlanta. My whole section is coming.
How loud will Falcons fans be on Monday night?
Oh, super loud.
Walking the mean streets of Las Vegas, and look what we have come across, an official Raiders team store. These are extremely rare, and inside You will find more jerseys than you will tonight in the stands in Allegiant Stadium.
I expect we're going to sell y'all stadium out.
We're going to see some Dirty Bird dancing Monday night.
Dirty Bird dancing and some swag and surf.
I love that jacket, by the way.
Thank you. We're going to show out. Yes, rise up.
How long until the Raiders have a real home field advantage here in Las Vegas?
I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, listen, maybe in hindsight, Emerson wasn't the guy we should have sent to Vegas.
What's
This is just
that?
asking for all kinds of trouble there. I do appreciate the Falcon fans, though, making the trek out there.
I appreciate the Raiders fans admitting that the season's lost and that nobody shows up to the games.
Well, 9 times. To quote a movie you've never seen, Ferris Bueller, Ferris has been absent 9 times. The Raiders have been absent 9 times this
I've
season.
seen some of it. A part of it. I swear.
Help me, Lord.
Let's talk about the Chiefs, shall we?
They need a little help.
All right. They won again on Sunday, all right? But this one came at a cost. Patrick Mahomes was removed midway through the fourth quarter after getting hit by a pair of Browns defenders and injuring his ankle. Carson Wentz finished out the game, and Casey won it 21-7, but of course the issue is the injury. It was diagnosed today as a high ankle sprain that the Chiefs reportedly, quote, don't think is bad. He will be evaluated through the week to determine if he can play in Week 16. The Chiefs currently underdogs to the Texans.
And that game's at Arrowhead, so that's surprising.
Yeah. So again, the line tells you something. If you can look into a crystal ball, you think Patrick Mahomes will play, now's the time to bet him. At 13-1, the Chiefs are still the favorite to secure the AFC's #1 seed, but it could certainly be in play for Buffalo if Mahomes does miss time. Over in the NFC, the Lions, Eagles, Vikings could all be tied if Minnesota wins tonight. Detroit is the current favorite at -105. Head-to-head is the tiebreaker and the conference record.
Now, look, we can get into all kinds of medical minutiae here, but I will tell you specifically that Mahomes has a trainer named Bobby Stroop, who I know very well, or whom I know very well in English. And they train specifically to avoid and deal with these injuries during the season. And I'll just go back to the AFC Championship game after the 2022 season. He was hurt in the Jags game, the divisional round, high ankle sprain, worse than this one from everything I can tell. He didn't even have an injury designation going into that game. And in the AFC Championship game, without any time in between, 29 of 43, 326 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, as they made it to Super Bowl 57, extra week off, and then they came back to win. His body recovers very differently than a lot of people. For more on this, let's go back to Marshall Newhouse. Marshall, the Mahomes injury is interesting because Patrick was talking about this even before the game Sunday with the Browns, because they got to go Saturday back home, they got to take on the Texans, and then they got the short week when they play Wednesday. How about this for a radical plan? Get him ready to play if he can Saturday, play him, win that game at home, then absolutely sit him for the Wednesday game against the Steelers. So if you need him ready to go to clinch the #1 seed, then he has 11 days basically to rest before he takes on the Broncos in Denver to potentially clinch the 1 overall seed.
Listen, I like the creativity there, but listen, Pat's a warrior. I'll also piggyback on the shout out. I trained with Bobby Stroop, and so they've definitely got Pat ready to bounce back from these injuries. You'd like to see them not happen, and you'd like to see his tackles get a little bit more production. But yeah, you do not want to have this thing run through Buffalo the way Josh Allen's playing right now. That home field means so much. With just the margins that Kansas City's been winning with, these margins increase. The odds increase when you're at home, when you're in your comfortable confines. And so finishing the season with Pittsburgh, with Denver, and they've really got to push the pedals to the metal. And I think they'll be smart. I think they obviously know Pat's limitations and his ceiling with this angle is better than we do. But I just don't take these things for granted, despite their weird days of rest with the Wednesday game.
Yeah, look, they need to win 2 out of 3 to lock up home field advantage. And they have maybe the best backup quarterback in the league in Carson Wentz. People forget that Carson Wentz formerly played an MVP level. Like the Chiefs' quarterback room may be better than anybody's. But before we move on, as an offensive lineman, can we just put to rest how misleading sacks can be? Technically, the Browns didn't sack Patrick Mahomes once, but they beat him up that entire game.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to defensive pass rushers, in the offseason when you're getting work done, you understand that they want pressure. They want quarterbacks to feel their presence, and that comes in the form of pressures, touches, running in front of him, not just sacks. And, sacks as they're recorded could be when the quarterback rolls out and then doesn't throw the ball out of bounds and runs out of bounds for a 1-yard loss. That's a sack technically. So yeah, when they're hitting and bruising and battering Patrick Mahomes, he feels that. His legs are getting, fallen into, his ankles obviously getting rolled up, his arms getting hit as he's thrown. That affects the quarterback's mentality and aggressiveness as the game goes on. The clock speeds up in his head. And these, at the end of these games, when pass rushers are trying to clinch, quarterbacks are trying to clinch, this is go time. You want guys around the quarterback's feet. And sometimes a team have given up 5 or 6 sacks, but they were coverage sacks. Things were different on the back end, but they've given up 12 pressures. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, we can't call it a silver lining, but maybe it's a wake-up call for this O-line to get things together. Speaking of wake-up calls, let's talk about the Detroit Lions, all right? Because they're really going through it right now, Marshall. We're going to talk about Dan Campbell, but we also have to look at these injuries. They lose David Montgomery for the season now with that knee injury. They lose 2 other players on defense in Carlton Davis and Khalil Dorsey. Oh, and then Dan Campbell decides to go for an onside kick with 12 minutes left, where the whole game they were trying to catch up to the Bills. They couldn't really stop them on offense. Instead of recovering the ball, the Bills recover it, and they go score another touchdown. What is happening to this squad, Marshall?
Listen, this is attrition. This is the NFL. Injuries happen. Unfortunately, they're happening kind of in concentrated areas with the defensive line. David Montgomery is a huge one. He's such a good late season back, cold weather back for Detroit. That's a big loss. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is uber talented, but he can't do every down back guy like David Montgomery can. And then, and the interior, they are thin. And listen, I get Dan Campbell where he was coming from, because the whole point of variability and being aggressive on 4th down and going for it is that you do it consistently. The odds shake it in your favor if you do it consistently. But when you're down 10 with, I think, 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and you've given up 8 of 10 scoring drives, I think he was just like, I don't know what to do other than this. The only problem is now with the rules, you've got to declare that you're onside kicking. So what was a 7% already low success rate is now around 3%. So I just think he didn't have a choice. But, it looks bad because you don't get it. It looks bad because you don't feel like you can stop Buffalo on that day, which I think a lot of teams are going to end up saying at the end of the year.
I get that, right? But this comes after the Thursday night game where they went for it on 4th and essentially inches, and they got lucky because Jared Goff's foot got stepped on. Jared Goff made a hell of a play to get the ball to Montgomery in that situation, to get the first down to run out of the clock. So they avoided disaster in that Thursday night game against the Packers, and they felt like they just tempted fate and doubled down. At some point, you got to know discretion is the better part of valor, and I think that's going to be a problem for Dan Campbell come playoff time. But there's also a problem, Marshall, for the Buffalo Bills as well as they've played, okay? And Josh Allen is on fire. 44 points given up to the Rams, 42 points given up to the Lions. Jared Goff almost threw for 500, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. As good as things are in Buffalo right now, if you're being honest with yourself, that defense scares the hell out of you.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to explain away giving up 1,000 yards in 2 weeks. That's just, there's not much you could say to that. And we look at the streak that Josh Allen's on. He's producing incredible numbers. The passes he's making every game, even the one that got called back, the 2-hand push pass for a touchdown that he called like Steph Curry, he's playing on another level. I think they're hoping that he's going to carry them, but you've seen teams, when a quarterback is playing on this level, very few ever make it very far, because eventually someone's going to be able to stymie him. Eventually something's going to knock him off a little bit. He's going to throw a pick, make a bad decision, and you need your defense to get a stop. I don't think this Buffalo defense has been getting consistent stops enough to trust it moving forward, but I'm all in on riding the roller coaster that is Josh Allen. I just don't think that you can be very confident in this defense.
In the end, though, this team making it a lot further than we all thought they would at the start of the season.
No question.
Marshall Newhouse, we appreciate you as always. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Marshall. All right, lots more coming on this edition of the Pregame Power-Up, including Kirk Cousins struggling, plus a primetime game that sounds kind of like a recipe for disaster, but not so fast. Cousins has been blocking the trend lately. We'll tell you all about it. The way we finish up the show, it's something we like to call the data dump. And that's ahead on the Pregame Power-Up. Monday night double dip.
time for Next Gen Cast.
Football feline.
First
Let's go.
touchdown scorer.
Oh, look, there's the Emmy.
Oh,
I'm shocked that the Emmy makes it in every show.
It was a hello
shocked.
to you, too. All right, first touchdown for all the... Oh, the cat is
opened the door.
your door.
The cat has opened the door.
Wow.
We are hastening the demise of humanity.
Skills. And DeAndre Swift, plus 850 for a first touchdown.
Well, now she's doubling down.
Here's a look at who the humans like in the anytime touchdown market. Justin Jefferson up there, a little bit of plus money. Got to drink some juice for Aaron Jones, lots of juice for Bijan Robinson. We have a $5,000 bet on Justin Jefferson for 2 or more touchdowns. Odds of plus 650. That'll pay $37,500 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Please share some of that if you win that. For more on how people are betting these games, here's DKN social media correspondent Megan Townsley.
Last Monday Night Football doubleheader, so I wanted to show y'all what some of our bettors are backing in the DraftKings Sportsbook betting groups to get us ready for the games tonight. Let's take it to the DK Network betting group where Sean Bernard, he's loving Brock Bowers. That's his guy tonight, building a same game parlay starting with Bowers as an anytime touchdown scorer. Bowers 70+ receiving yards and throwing in there Bijan Robinson over 83.5 rushing yards. I think this is great because you're hitting on the young talent in the league. Oh, and Brock Bowers is currently in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So give me a touchdown for him tonight. Now, Tim Finnegan in the same betting group, he's going in a little bit of a simpler direction, picking a winner of each of the matchups tonight, parlaying Minnesota moneyline for the first game with Atlanta Falcons moneyline for the second. And if there's one trend that I've seen throughout all of the betting groups today is that people are not loving the Chicago Bears. So I'm sorry, Bears fans, but if you want to go support your team, all you have to do to find these betting groups is open up the DraftKings Sportsbook, then click on the social tab at the top, and then you'll find the betting groups button. Maybe you don't want to take Bears money line, okay? Maybe you're not sure what you want to bet on. That's the best part of these groups is that if you see a bet you like, you can tail it, you can comment on it, like it, dislike it, whatever you want to do. Just make sure you go check them out before these games kick off tonight.
All right, Megan, thanks. You know how we like to finish on this show. 2 games, 1 hour, not enough time to get everything in this tight 60 minutes we have, so it's time for the data dump. Here we go. We'll start with Kirk Cousins and his primetime struggles have not been as of much of a thing lately. Kirk started 44 games now in his primetime career. He's 19-24-1 straight up and 18-25 against the spread. But in his last 13 starts, he has gotten better. 9-4 straight up and has won 4 of his last Monday night starts.
Oh, well, that's good for him. Here's a very specific system, okay?
Go on.
Teams to lose by 17 or more points going against a team who won by 17 or more points the previous week are 115 and 79 against the spread since 2003. That's almost, this is much easier for you, a 60% cover rate, and the Bears are a match for that specific system this week.
I was told there would be no math, so that's really, really
I converted it for you.
Thank you very much. Sam Darnold excels as a favorite. This much we know. When favored by 6 points or more, Darnold is 5-0 straight up and 4-1 against the spread, and 4 of those 5 games are with the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, let's take a look at some player streaks heading into these games tonight. Caleb Williams has not thrown an interception in the Bears' last 7 games. Jordan Addison has recorded 54 or more receiving yards in each of the Vikings' last 4 games. Drake London has had 61 or more receiving in each of the Falcons' last 4 games. And Jacoby Myers has recorded 67 or more receiving yards in each of the Raiders' last 3 games. All of these, of course, bets you can make at DraftKings Sportsbook.
One other thing to point out on just this renaissance season for Sam Darnold, okay? Darnold is just the 4th player since 1950 to have a passer rating of 100 or more in at least 11 of the team's first 13 games. 3 of the previous people to do it all went on to win the NFL MVP in that season. So he's not going to win it, but that's the kind of performance we're seeing out of Sam Darnold this year. We hope you enjoyed our performance, however you consume the product. We thank you for being with us. Enjoy the Monday Night Double Dip. For Claudia Malafato and for Emerson Latzia and Marshall Newhouse and Stormy Bonatoni, I'm Trey Wingo. Thanks for watching the Pregame Power-Up right here on DraftKings Network. Enjoy the Monday Night doubleheader, and we will be back here on Thursday night, people. It is Week 15, rounding out.